Women are one of the most complicated creatures to understand until you stop listening to what they say and start watching what they do. Her smile, her tears, her silence. They're not random. Every emotional storm she creates, every gentle glance she gives, is rooted in millions of years of survival wiring. She's not trying to confuse you. She's responding exactly how nature made her. And if you don't get this, you'll keep losing her attention, her respect, and eventually her love. Drop a comment saying "Master her emotions" if you're ready to finally understand what really moves her soul and how to stand solid as a man in the storm of her feelings. Most men walk into relationships emotionally blind. They believe logic will solve her mood swings. They believe affection will stop her coldness. They believe flowers will fix her disrespect. But what they don't know is that her emotions are not puzzles to be solved. They're instincts to be understood. This video is not for everyone. If you're scared of truth, if you're addicted to comfort, or if you still believe a happy wife means a happy life, leave now. But if you're a man who's been confused by her breakdowns, ghosted after giving your best, or silenced in arguments that made no sense, then this is the message that could save your relationships, your time, and your future. We're diving deep. Psychology, biology, real talk, and practical truths no one told you. By the end, you will no longer see women the same way. You'll stop reacting to her emotions and start leading with grounded masculine presence. Comment "Master her emotions" below if you're ready to watch this video till the end. Number 1. Women are emotional creatures. Women don't just experience emotions, they live through them, speak through them, love through them, and test through them. Her world isn't rational, it's emotional. That's not a flaw, it's a feature. Trying to make sense of her using pure logic is like trying to navigate a thunderstorm with a calculator. It's the wrong tool. Her brain is biologically wired for emotional response and emotional memory. When she cries, when she withdraws, when she lashes out or becomes distant, those aren't random acts. Those are expressions of internal emotional storms rooted in millions of years of evolutionary programming. She feels in high definition. And if you, as a man, do not understand this, you will keep losing her, one unresolved emotional reaction at a time. You must stop expecting her to think like you. She never will. Instead, learn how to read her feelings the way you read a weather forecast, not to fix them, but to prepare for them. When she shifts emotionally, don't immediately try to correct or debate her. Doing so makes her feel unheard, invalidated, and disconnected. Instead, anchor yourself. Stay calm, say less, observe more. Your job is not to match her storm, it's to outlast it with presence and certainty. That's what makes her feel safe, and safety is the foundation of female attraction. When she's upset, she's testing if your emotional center is stronger than her chaos. If you react with frustration or anger, you fail the test. If you collapse into people-pleasing or guilt, you fail again. But if you stay calm, ask thoughtful questions, let her speak, and keep your tone grounded, you pass. That doesn't mean the conversation will be easy. It means you'll earn her deeper respect. So what must you do? First, stop explaining yourself endlessly during emotional moments. She's not listening to your logic, she's feeling your energy. Instead of saying, "I didn't mean it that way," say, "I hear you." Instead of defending, say, "Tell me what's behind that." Keep your tone steady. Your voice is your emotional spear. It either pierces tension or fuels it. Lower it. Slow it. Let your presence say, "I'm not leaving, I'm not shaking, and I'm not here to win. I'm here to lead through this." Second, recognize emotional triggers early. Learn the signs. Maybe she goes quiet. Maybe she becomes sarcastic. Maybe she asks loaded questions like, "Do you even care?" Don't roll your eyes. Don't dismiss it. Stay engaged. You don't need to entertain every emotion, but you do need to recognize it. You say, "Something's shifted. Let's talk when you're ready." That shows strength, not submission. Third, and this is essential, stop reacting to her moods. Your mood should not follow hers. If she's angry and you become angry, you're her mirror, not her man. Emotional mirroring is for women. Emotional leadership is for you. That doesn't mean suppressing your emotions. It means channeling them. A storm outside doesn't mean your house collapses. It just means you check your windows, lock your doors, and sit still until it passes. What's the psychology behind this? Her nervous system is highly reactive. Her amygdala, the part of the brain that registers fear and emotion, lights up more quickly and intensely than yours. She's wired to respond to perceived threats, even subtle ones. You showing distance, impatience, or cold logic can feel threatening to her, even if your intention is harmless. That's why your tone matters more than your words. Your body language matters more than your intentions. Your consistency matters more than your cleverness. If you want her to trust you, stop being a man who collapses every time she gets emotional. Stop being the man who gets thrown off by tears or guilt or silence. Be the man who can listen without needing to speak, who can care without needing to prove, who can stand in the fire and not flinch. When your woman is emotional, create physical calm, slow your breathing, keep your voice low and level, give her space if needed, but with clarity. Say, "I'm not walking away, I just want us both to breathe." Do not leave in silence. That breeds abandonment fear. Communicate firmly and clearly. If you need to lead the situation, do it with confidence, not aggression. Next, build emotional resilience daily, not just when she breaks down. Meditate. Hit the gym to train your body and your mind. Reflect. Keep a journal. Talk to strong men. Build a fortress within yourself so you don't bring your own chaos to hers. Stoicism is not about being emotionless. It's about mastering your emotions so you can lead others through theirs. A Stoic man is not cold, he's composed. In relationships, he becomes her lighthouse. She may rage, cry, blame, or withdraw, but he does not drift. And because he doesn't drift, she eventually draws close again. Not because he forced her, but because his calm made her chaos feel safe. Imagine a moment. She's sobbing over something you don't understand. You want to say, "This is ridiculous." You want to say, "I didn't do anything." But instead, you breathe. You look her in the eyes. You say, "I see how this hurts you." You don't try to fix. You don't dismiss. And within minutes, her energy shifts. Her body softens. Her eyes change. She begins to trust again, not because you solved her emotions, but because you held space for them. That's what a man does. He holds the weight without needing applause. He brings order to emotional disorder, not by force, but by being unshakable. You want the key to her devotion? Become the man she can't emotionally shake. Become the man whose peace she wants to be part of. Stop asking her to be less emotional. That's like asking water to stop being wet. Instead, become the man who knows how to swim. This is your power. This is your path. This is how you lead a relationship that doesn't just survive, but thrives under pressure. Number 2, women are highly sensitive. Women feel everything. You must start from that truth, not as a theory, but as a law of emotional nature. Because when you enter a relationship with a woman and expect her to respond like you, to measure her emotional reactions with logic, to rationalize her outbursts with timelines and order, you are preparing yourself not for leadership, but for disappointment. Because a woman's sensitivity isn't weakness. It's her way of experiencing the world, It's her language, her compass, her shield and her sword, all wrapped in one emotional code. And if you don't know how to decode it, you'll be constantly confused by her shifts, hurt by her reactions, and lost in a storm you were never trained to navigate. But it's not hopeless, it's precise. And if you want her love, respect, and emotional openness, then you must stop blaming her for feeling deeply and start training yourself to understand her sensory world. Because her sensitivity isn't a bug in her system, it's the feature that was forged in the fires of evolutionary biology when her ancestors survived not through force, but through awareness, through the ability to read the tiniest change in a man's body, the slight deviation in tone, the fraction of a second pause before he answered her, because those changes once signaled danger, betrayal, or abandonment. So she evolved to feel them long before they became visible problems. This is why she notices your shift in mood even before you do. This is why she asks, "What's wrong?" before you've realized your frustration is leaking out in your silence. This is why she seems irrational when you say nothing's wrong, because your body already told her something is. And when you try to lie to a woman's senses, you don't protect her, you disconnect from her, and disconnection to a sensitive woman is trauma. So if you want to lead her, if you want to be the grounded man she melts for, you need to master the art of congruency, matching your words with your presence, your tone with your truth, and your actions with your essence. Because when she senses a gap between your mouth and your energy, she will not hear you. She will test you, challenge you, shut down, or even lash out. Not because she wants to hurt you, but because she is searching for alignment, for emotional clarity, for safety. And safety to her is not a quiet house or a full fridge. It's a man whose energy she can trust, whose inner world is predictable even when life isn't. So if you're moody, inconsistent, or emotionally dishonest, she will feel it before you speak, and you will lose her long before she says the words, because sensitive women don't always explain. They react, and their reactions come in patterns, subtle but consistent, like when she suddenly pulls back after a deep connection, when she starts a fight over something that seems small, when she cries after an incredible night, or when she goes silent when you thought things were perfect. These are not contradictions, they're signals, emotional signals from a system that's scanning for safety 24/7. And if you ignore them, you are ignoring the very woman you claim to love. So what do? You train your mind to be calm when hers is overloaded. You train your awareness to feel her shifts before they become storms. You become so attuned to her emotional map that you see her triggers not as traps, but as opportunities to lead, to guide, to anchor. And when she becomes reactive, when she says things like, "You don't care," or "Why do I feel alone even when you're here?" you don't argue or roll your eyes. You lean in, you slow your breathing. You say, "I see something shifted. Talk to me," not to control, but to connect. And when she says, "I'm fine," but you know she isn't, don't interrogate her. Simply sit next to her, the present, still, waiting, not like a doormat, but like a rock, unshaken. Because her silence is not a wall, it's a bridge waiting for your presence to cross it. And if you're reactive, if you pull away or fight back, she won't punish you. She'll protect herself by withdrawing. And once a sensitive woman pulls back to protect herself emotionally, it takes more than a few sweet words to bring her back, because she doesn't just remember actions. She feels them long after they're over. And if you want to stop repeating the cycle of closeness and distance, you must stop treating her like a man with a different body and start treating her like a woman with a different biology, one that's tuned to pick up the frequency of disconnection, like a dog hears a whistle. And this means you stop hiding your feelings under fake strength, because emotional repression is not stoicism. It's cowardice, and a stoic man is not numb. He is clear, and his clarity creates the safety she craves. So when she's sensitive, you don't fix her. You guide her gently back to connection. And when she's flooded with emotion and says things like, "You never listen," you don't say, "I'm right here." You show her by giving her your full attention, your silence, your stillness, your curiosity. And when she overreacts, and she will, you don't mock her, you don't walk out, you don't throw logic at a heart on fire. You lower your voice, you meet her eyes, and you speak from your gut, not your brain, because she's not testing your intelligence. She's testing your capacity to hold what she can't. And when she's overwhelmed, you don't tell her to calm down, you become the calm. You embody the peace she cannot find, and slowly she melts back into herself and into you. Because her sensitivity is not the enemy of your masculinity, it's the invitation for it to rise. And if you keep fighting her emotions, you will keep fighting her. But if you learn to see them as weather you were made to navigate, then you will become the kind of man no storm can shake and no woman wants to leave. Because in a world of reactive men, the grounded man becomes the rarest thing, a sanctuary, a protector, a leader of emotional space. And when you master this, you stop fearing her sensitivity, you welcome it, because you know that beneath every outburst, every tear, every silence is a heart that simply wants to be understood, and not by someone who agrees with everything she feels, but by someone who doesn't flinch when she feels it. And if you can be that man, the one who stays soft in strength, clear in chaos and slow in storms, then her sensitivity becomes your bond, not your burden, and she will return to you, not because you solved her, but because you saw her, because you felt her pain without judging it, because you didn't try to manage her like a problem, but led her like a partner. And that's what a real man does. Not just react, but respond. Not just survive her emotions, but master them with stillness. Not just tolerate her tears, but hold them with reverence. Not just stay in the relationship, but lead it from the front, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Number 3, women weaponize emotions. What most men don't realize, until they've been emotionally drained, manipulated, or confused for months, is that women don't use logic to get what they want. They use feelings, and not just their own, but yours. Because in her world, the person who can move emotions holds the power in the relationship, and this doesn't make her evil or malicious. It makes her intuitive, responsive, and incredibly tuned into the emotional temperature of the relationship. And if you're not aware of this, if you're not trained to recognize emotional leverage for what it is, you'll end up following emotional cues like a dog chasing a whistle, doing things not because they're right, but because you're trying to restore peace, not realizing that every time you sacrifice your frame to calm her down, you're giving her a blueprint for how to control you, and over time, you lose her respect, her desire, and eventually, her love. Because a woman cannot truly love a man she can emotionally dominate. She may appreciate his compliance, but she will never respect his surrender. And that's the death sentence in a relationship with a high-value woman, because what she really wants, underneath the chaos, the tears, the coldness, the rage, is to feel a man's unbreakable internal gravity, the kind that doesn't flinch when she flares up, the kind that doesn't chase after her validation every time she pulls away, the kind that stands its ground without aggression, without neediness, and without guilt. And if you don't know how to hold that frame, you will be pulled into her emotional world like a current, and she'll test you over and over to see if you'll sink or swim. Not because she's cruel, but because her subconscious needs to know if your leadership is real, because any man can be stable when things are calm, but only a man who has cultivated emotional strength can stay centered when she's screaming, crying, accusing, shutting down, or seducing all in the same hour. And if you think you're going to win her over by explaining your point logically while she's emotionally activated, you're already in checkmate, because her emotional weaponry doesn't respond to rationality, it responds to energy, and her favorite weapons aren't just tears or yelling, Their silence, withdrawal, guilt-tripping, passive aggression, dramatic statements like, "You never care," or "Maybe we're not meant to be," and even using affection and sex as tools for compliance. And if you're a man who doesn't recognize this for what it is, emotional leverage, you'll take it personally, you'll fall into anxiety, and worst of all, you'll start shifting your behavior out of fear of losing her. And once your motivation becomes fear-driven instead of principle-driven, you are no longer leading the relationship. You are reacting to her emotions like a puppet on strings, and she feels that shift, and it disgusts her, because what she truly desires, even when she's emotionally manipulative, is a man who can call out the manipulation without emotional violence, a man who doesn't punish her for feeling, but also doesn't bow to every mood swing, a man who knows that silence can be broken with presence, but coldness must be broken with boundaries. And when she weaponizes guilt by saying, "I guess I'm always the problem," or "I just can't make you happy," the weak man rushes to comfort her, apologizes for what he didn't do, and digs himself into a hole of emotional servitude. But the strong man pauses, breathes, and says calmly, "That's not the story we're going to create." And he doesn't explain endlessly. He redirects the energy, not by overpowering, but by anchoring. Because when you stop rewarding emotional manipulation with attention or overcompensation, she quickly realizes those weapons don't work on you. And that's when she starts dropping the games. Not because you told her to, but because you didn't fall for them. And this is Stoicism. Not being a cold robot, but being a man who cannot be moved by temporary emotional warfare, who can love her deeply, but not bend every time she uses emotions as a tool to control the narrative. And if she cries and walks out the door, you don't chase, you don't beg, you stand still. And when she returns, you welcome her with warmth. But you don't apologize for setting the tone, because leadership in relationships means not reacting to emotional drama as if it's authority. And you must learn to tell the difference between a real cry for help and a manipulation disguised as vulnerability. And that requires discernment, emotional intelligence, and experience. But once you master this, you become bulletproof to the tricks that tear most men apart. And you'll notice how she actually becomes more calm, more loving, more feminine when you're no longer easily swayed. Because when she says things like, "I just feel like you don't love me anymore," after one disagreement, she's often not seeking reassurance. She's testing your stability, and when you fall into desperation trying to prove your love, you fail the test. But when you look her in the eye and say, "I love you, but I won't prove it to escape a false accusation," you pass, because you're communicating that your self-respect isn't on trial, and her respect for you increases. And this doesn't mean you avoid emotion or walk away from intensity. It means you lead it. You guide the emotional energy like a conductor. And when the room fills with tension, you don't fill it with apologies or explanations. You fill it with presence, stillness, eye contact, breath control, and clarity. And that's what she's really looking for. Not a man who dances for her affection, but a man who moves like a mountain, firm, quiet, confident, and unshaken. And yes, sometimes she will cry and try to make you the villain. Sometimes she will go cold and make you chase. Sometimes she will use her pain as power to get you to fold. But every single time you refuse to abandon your principles and you stay connected without being manipulated, her attraction grows, because emotional weaponry only works on men who don't know their value. And once you do, you stop giving discounts every time she has a bad day. You stop abandoning truth just to avoid her tears. You stop shrinking to keep her calm. And you realize that the only way to love a woman deeply is to love her without giving her the keys to your emotional system. Because once she owns that, the polarity is dead, and the romance dies shortly after. So instead of chasing peace at the cost of your dignity, start building a foundation of presence so strong that even when she tries to break it with every trick in the book, coldness, blame, stonewalling, or seductive manipulation, it doesn't move you, and then she puts the weapons down, because deep inside, all she ever wanted was a man strong enough to take the hit without flinching, to feel her intensity without retreating, and to love her not through weakness, but through unshakable truth. Number 4. Women crave emotional containment. You need to understand that when a woman is emotional, she's not looking for you to collapse with her. She's looking for you to contain her, to be the frame around the fire, to be the gravity that holds her when she's spinning out of control. And this containment is not about control. It's not about shutting her down or telling her to be quiet. It's about making her feel emotionally safe enough to unravel without fear. And when a woman says, "I need a strong man," she doesn't mean just physically. She means emotionally, energetically, and spiritually. Because every emotionally charged woman is looking, consciously or not, for a container powerful enough to hold her chaos without flinching. And if you think being a nice guy who listens and agrees with everything she says during those moments will win her trust, you've already lost her on a deep level, because the man she truly desires is not the one who bends every time she breaks down. It's the man who stands, not in anger, not in ego, but in presence so grounded it calms her mind by existing. And most men don't understand this. They either get triggered and argue, trying to match her energy, or they withdraw and go silent, hoping the storm will pass. But both responses tell her the same thing: you're too much for me to handle. And when a woman feels that, especially the one with deep feminine energy, she starts to build a wall of emotional independence. She starts protecting herself because she senses that if she opens up fully, you'll drop the weight, and this is where relationships slowly die. Not from cheating, not from lies, but from the silent collapse of masculine containment. And the truth is, she doesn't need you to fix her feelings. She needs you to anchor them, to be emotionally attuned, not reactive, to remain fully present even when she's in the middle of a storm, crying, yelling, doubting herself, doubting you, spiraling through emotions she doesn't even understand. Because what she's really doing is searching for evidence that you can handle her at her most chaotic, that your love isn't just strong when it's easy, but steady when it's hardest to give. And in those moments, every reaction you show is being recorded deep inside her brain as a map. Can I trust this man with the softest parts of myself? And if your energy tightens, if your voice rises, if your body closes off, you are telling her no, and she might not say it. She might even smile after the storm passes. But something inside her closes just a little bit more, and enough of those little closings and you'll find yourself sleeping next to a woman who no longer trusts you, who no longer opens her heart to you. And you'll be confused because you stayed. You didn't cheat, you tried to help, but you didn't contain. And containment is what separates boys from men in relationships. It's what allows a woman to surrender deeply, to express freely, to be wild in her emotions without fear. And if you can't be that emotional safe space, she'll find containment in structure, in control, in independence. But she won't give you the soft, vulnerable version of herself she's aching to share. And this is why a woman will say things like, "You're not listening," even when you are. Because she doesn't mean just with your ears. She means with your energy, with your body, with your stillness. She's looking for the man whose mind doesn't panic when hers explodes. And you don't become that man by accident. You build him through breathwork, through self-reflection, through exposure to intensity without needing to dominate or escape it. And practically speaking, this means when she's overwhelmed, you don't shrink, you expand, you don't talk over her, you hold silence until the right words come. You let her cry without telling her she's being too much. You stand with her rage without matching it. And when she throws out emotionally charged lines like, "Maybe we're not meant to be," you don't take the bait. You breathe deeper, you make eye contact, and you ask, What are you really needing right now? And when she sees that you're not reacting, not running, not begging, just holding, you become the container she's never had, and she won't just respect you, she'll surrender to you emotionally, sexually, spiritually, because containment isn't about taking her freedom. It's about giving her a place where her emotions don't have to be filtered or feared, and women will never tell you this outright, but they are dying to feel like they can fall apart and be held instead of judged, that they can express without pushing you away. And when you learn how to be that man, when you learn to see her emotional chaos not as a threat, but as an invitation to lead, you shift the entire relationship dynamic. You move from managing emotions to mastering energy, and this mastery isn't something you do occasionally, it's a way of being. It's in how you wake up, how you breathe when she's upset, how you respond when she says something irrational, how you touch her when she's anxious, how you look at her when she's insecure, and she feels every bit of it, because containment doesn't require you to be perfect. It requires you to be present. And if you can maintain that presence even in her darkest moments, you become irreplaceable, because in a world full of emotionally reactive boys, a man who can emotionally contain a woman becomes the rarest form of security she'll ever feel. And when you provide that, she doesn't just stay, she blooms, because containment makes her feel safe, and safety allows her femininity to expand, to soften, to come alive, not in fear but in devotion. And that devotion is not to your words, but to your energetic leadership. And if you want to master relationships, you must master this containment, because it's not about controlling her. It's about creating the emotional space where she never has to control you, where she never has to wonder if you'll fall apart with her, where she knows that no matter how intense the storm, you are still the lighthouse, and that, more than love, more than words, is what she craves from you most. If you've made it this far, understand this. The way forward is not about changing her, it's about mastering you. Her emotions, her storms, her silence, her fire, they are not your enemy. They are the proving ground for your strength, your leadership, and your presence as a man. She doesn't need perfection. She needs your depth. She doesn't need you to solve her. She needs to feel you can hold her. The man who wins isn't the loudest, richest, or most charming. It's the man who leads with calm, lives with discipline, loves with clarity, and walks with emotional gravity. Be the mountain she can't move, and she will orbit you forever, not out of obligation, but out of devotion. If this opened your eyes, changed your energy, or challenged what you thought you knew, then commit. Don't just scroll. Support this channel so we can bring this truth to more men who are still in the dark, still guessing, still collapsing under emotional pressure. Like the video. Comment unshakable leadership so I know you're one of us. Share this with a man who needs it. And subscribe for more no-fluff, real-world masculine guidance. By doing so, you're not just helping this channel, you're helping build a world where men lead with strength, presence, and truth.